So we found out at the end of the show on Thursday that the Saints have reached a deal with linebacker Nigel Bradham. If you don't know his whole backstory, played at Florida State, was played the last 4 seasons with the Eagles, and was actually really productive his first 3 years in Philly. And then last year, he had an ankle injury, played in 12 games, still was pretty good. I think he had 61 tackles and a pick over the 12 games he played, but was slowed by an ankle injury. He was originally a 4th-round pick of the Bills in 2012, started in Buffalo, went to Philly in 2016, and was a major part of what Jim Schwartz did defensively there. Like, Bradham was a big key. He was a starting player on that defense that won the Super Bowl. So you're talking about a guy that averaged 96 tackles his first 3 years in Philly. Last year had a bum ankle, only played 12 games, still had 61 tackles. And honestly, the reason he's not in Philly anymore is it was a cap-saving move. He was going to count more than $8 million against the cap for Philly. By cutting him, they saved $4.5 million in cap space. So they did what you often see. They cut a guy to save money. I mean, the Saints did this with Kobe Fleener. I mean, it's every team does it with. They did it with Larry Warford, but then again, I don't know if Warford was really going to make the team. But I mean, Peyton was done with Larry Warford. But either way, point is, this is a guy who you feel like can really still play. I mean, he was an average more than 90 tackles over the first 3 seasons he was in Philly. And when I look at the Saints defense, I might be a little more bullish on the defensive line than others. And I'll grant you, if Davenport and Rankins are healthy, it's a completely different conversation. But I also look at their production. They were top 5 in the NFL in rush defense last year, 3rd in the NFL in sacks last year, and they managed to piece it together. It's one of those things where you know Cam Jordan's elite, but really the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and together they play very well. The secondary, I think, has a lot of really good pieces. And at linebacker, you know you've got Demario Davis, who was an all-pro, but after that, it's a bunch of questions. When they're at their best, I think you've got a really good linebacker group there in New Orleans. Like, Kiko Alonso was rookie of the year when he came into the league. Had like 157 tackles as a rookie when he came in with Buffalo. He's a guy that had 4 straight 100-tackle seasons, but he's also had injuries. He's torn his ACL 3 times. When he's at his best, when he's healthy, he's a tackling machine. I love having him. He's a 3-down linebacker, super versatile. Alex Anzaloni, same thing. Injury prone at Florida. That was the knock on him when he came into the league. Got nicked up his first year, out. Nicked up last year, out. But in 2018, he played a full 16 games. Had 59 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, all in a reserve role. Guy wasn't even an everyday starter for the Saints back in 2018 and still was super productive when he stayed on the field. And you could say, well, yeah, man, but you know, you look at a guy like Bradham, he's 30 years old. Yo, Demario Davis is 31. It's not like Nigel Bradham is knocking on retirement's door. The guy can still play. The other thing I love about this is you're not in it for much. When you look at that position group, I mean, you've got an all-pro in Demario Davis. You've got Alonso, who, if he's healthy, is a stud. You've got Anzaloni, who, if he's healthy, can be a stud. And then you throw in Zach Bond as well, who, by the way, there were some mock drafts and some analysts who had him graded out as a first-round pick that you got in round 3. For whatever reason he fell, if it was the issues at the combine or whatever, he fell into round 3. That's what it is. Guy fell into round 3. He was there for you. So you have a guy that a lot of people think is an elite talent, but he missed there was no offseason, right? There was no rookie minicamp. There was no OTAs. He's coming in completely raw. How long does it take him to get up to speed? If any of those hit, right? Like if Alonso, Anzaloni hit, if Bond catches up to speed, great. Now you're loaded at that position. And you still got Craig Robertson as well, who, when he was a starter, was a 100-tackle guy, but now is mostly a backup and a special teams guy because you have better options. And, of course, you let A.J. Klein walk in free agency. So adding Nigel Bradham on a 1-year deal makes too much sense. It almost feels like this is one of those scenarios where guy was cut for a cost-saving measure. He's still got gas left in the tank, but maybe wanted to take a deal to come be part of a team that's going to win. And oh, by the way, I love the fact that this guy played on a Super Bowl winning team. Because as Teron Armstead said when he met with the media on Thursday, it's Super Bowl or bust. I like the idea of having somebody on the roster who's been there, who's been to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl, who's been in gigantic moments on those stages that's not going to shrink in those moments. And you also know the player. How many times have we seen Sean Payton sign guys from within the division? I know the Eagles aren't in the division, but think about Curtis Lofton. Think about Kurt Coleman. I mean, it's not atypical for Sean Payton to do that, to bring in guys who he's seen. Well, the Saints and the Eagles have crossed paths a bunch. Remember the 48-7 beatdown in the Dome a couple of years ago in 2018? Bradham started in that game for the Eagles, had 5 tackles that day. I mean, Sean Payton knows this guy. He's seen him on film enough. So I like this a lot, especially because you didn't have to invest a lot. One-year deal, wait and see what the terms are of it. But I mean, you're adding a veteran who was only cut because of a cost-saving move, who's won a Super Bowl, you know him, and he potentially solidifies a position. And you know what maybe the best-case scenario is? Anzaloni and Alonso all stay healthy, and Zach Bond just absolutely flourishes, opens up like a flower in his rookie year, and you don't even need Nigel Bradham. That's a best-case scenario. You don't even need that guy. But I sure like it as an insurance plan. Saints also signed somebody named Benny Fowler. He's a wide receiver. He's 29. He spent 6 seasons in Denver, the last 2 with the Giants, and he's not going to make the team. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.